From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at Noon, streaming now.
One round of snow and ice has passed us already on this last day of 2020, but another weather system means we could have a messy beginning to 2021 as well. I'm Lauren Casey. Thanks for joining us here on the News at Noon, and Todd Clausen is standing by with what we can expect in the forecast. Todd, it's maybe not going to be the best start to 2021, unfortunately.
Yeah, let's just hope the rest of 2021 isn't like the first few hours of 2021, as we are going to bring in some freezing rain across parts of the area. New Year's Eve, though, it's cloudy, but it's quiet, so if you have any plans today, you're just fine. Here's live looking Greencastle with that snow on the rooftops and on the grass. The roads have dried out, so we shouldn't really have too much of an issue out there, even though temperatures are still below freezing right now. 27 in Indy, 28 in Bloomington, 27 in Columbus. No threat of any precipitation today or tonight. That is the good news if you are getting together with some friends or family for your New Year's Eve. Temperatures will be in the 30 to 32 degree range here at 4 p.m. and then falling into the 20s. So you'll definitely have to bundle up if you do have plans tonight, as temperatures will be hovering right around 29 degrees. But that is below freezing, and that is key because the storm system arrives shortly after midnight, bringing that freezing rain potential to at least parts of the area. This winter weather advisory will go into effect overnight through much of the morning tomorrow. We'll break it all down for you coming up in Maine weather in just a few minutes, Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you. Well, it's already been a record year for homicides here in Indianapolis, and Metro Police are now investigating 2 more. Overnight, police say that a man was shot and killed on the city's north side. This happened just before 1 o'clock in the morning on 39th Street, a few blocks east of the Indiana State Fairgrounds. A man was found suffering from gunshot wounds and died at the scene. Police have not released any suspect information so far. And just a few hours earlier, a man died following a shooting on the city's east side. Officers found the victim around 8 o'clock last night near 25th and Sherman, just north of Mass Ave. Detectives are still looking for possible witnesses in the shooting. Those 2 homicides give the city at least 244 for the year, going into the last day of 2020. And after trending downward over the past 2 weeks, coronavirus numbers here in the state of Indiana have had their first post-Christmas spike. Moments ago, the state health department reports more than 6,500 new cases of COVID-19. That's the first time in just over a week the state has been above the 6,000 mark. Another 99 deaths were added to the state's total, and that pushes Indiana past 7,900 deaths during the pandemic related to COVID-19. However, there's a little less pressure on the state's hospitals. The number of patients with COVID-19 has now fallen below 2,900 in our state. Leaving Indiana, let's head out to Washington. It doesn't appear that you'll be seeing another round of COVID relief checks in your bank account, despite calls for them from President Trump and from Democrats in Washington. ABC's Faith Abube has the latest on the negotiations that appear to be at a standstill.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell throwing water on hopes of another round of stimulus checks.
The Senate's not going to be bullied into rushing out more borrowed money into the hands of Democrat rich friends who don't need the help.
McConnell stands effectively blocking a vote on a standalone bill to increase the $600 stimulus checks to $2,000, an amount both President Trump and Democrats are demanding.
At the very least, the Senate deserves the opportunity for an up or down vote.
Most Republicans unwilling to support the boosted checks, worried it would raise the price tag of the newly passed $900 billion stimulus package. McConnell saying the Senate is willing to consider other options to provide aid to struggling households.
Smart, targeted aid, not another fire hose of borrowed money.
The president, however, still attacking his own party on Twitter and writing $2,000 ASAP. But his attention largely focused on trying to overturn an election he lost, tweeting January 6, see you in D.C. It's the day Congress is expected to certify the Electoral College votes for President-elect Joe Biden. Missouri GOP Senator Josh Hawley announcing he plans to stall the certification process. But the move is not expected to alter the election results. The impending showdown, though, just one of many on Capitol Hill, while millions struggle through a crippling pandemic. In just the last week, more than 787,000 Americans filed new unemployment claims.
People have mortgages, they have rent.
In Massachusetts, this police officer showing mercy on a shoplifting call, buying dinner for the family accused of stealing food.
Obviously, it goes without saying that times are tough right now for a lot of people.
President Trump is cutting his Florida vacation short to return to D.C. a day early. The White House hasn't explained why. In the meantime, it's looking likely that the Senate will have to convene a rare weekend session to override Trump's veto of the Defense Authorization Act. Faith Abube, ABC News, Washington.
Well, we are less than 12 hours away from the beginning of a new year. You'll see the countdown clock there at the bottom of your screen. As the new year inches closer, the new year, new me mentality is in full swing. At Orange Theory and Fishers today, some people are getting a head start on meeting their fitness goals for the new year. Maybe you're looking to help your body ward off COVID-19 and other illnesses. While there's no magic formula, one doctor tells us that the old standbys of proper nutrition, exercise, and getting enough rest can go a long way.
We know that all of those antioxidants, like those vitamins, particularly vitamin C, are really good for our immune system. And those come naturally in our citrus fruits, in our dark green leafy vegetables. So those things that we think of that are fruits and vegetables, salads, those things are the best for us when it comes to those micronutrients and vitamins that help us boost our immune system.
Dr. Hartwell there says that just 10 minutes outside each day will give you plenty of vitamin D, and moving your body at the gym, at your house, or just taking the dog for a little walk can help to boost your immune system. Well, it's already 2021 on the other side of the globe. Several hours ago, Sydney, Australia was one of the first major cities to ring in the new year, as is always the case. Though the traditional fireworks went off in Sydney's famous harbour side, the celebration was quiet otherwise. That's because of the pandemic. Parks in the area were closed and night spots were deserted due to a ban on gatherings of more than 5 people. Most of the celebrations around the world have similar restrictions. That includes New York City, where there will be no crowd allowed to watch this year's Times Square ball drop. We'll all have to watch it on the television, I guess, this year. So keeping the scammers away in 2021. Next, the resolutions you need to make today that will help to protect your money tomorrow and all year long. Todd?
And Lauren, it's quiet all across central Indiana at this noon hour. We remain quiet throughout the day, but a freezing rain potential enters the forecast shortly after we ring in the new year. That storm system, it's a big one. It's down in Texas right now. Not only do we have freezing rain potential, but flooding potential as well. We'll break it all down for you coming up in your WRTV Storm Team forecast.
Premieres Monday on ABC.
Welcome back to the news at noon. This is the time of year when we think about improving ourselves for the new year. That should also go for protecting your financial information from criminals. Tim Maniscalco with the Better Business Bureau has some tips on how to keep the scammers away in 2021.
This is the time for New Year's resolution, so here's a few things you could do to keep yourself safe from scammers. First, implement a credit freeze. This is something where you can go to the credit bureaus, freeze your credit account. That way, if your identity is stolen, no one can go in and open up a loan or do anything that your credit report requires. So it's a great way to protect your identity. It's free. It takes a little bit of time, about 10 or 15 minutes, but you should do that and protect yourself. Number 2, there's technology out there now to block all of these robocalls. It's called NoMoRobo, NoMoRobo, nomorobo.com. Go ahead and use that. It's not perfect, but it's going to cut down on all of these robocalls. Number 3, use secure methods of payment. Your credit card is always the best form of payment. If someone is asking you to wire transfer money or to pay with gift cards, that's a sign that it's probably a scam. So always use your credit card and stay away from other forms of payment, particularly those unusual forms of payments. Passwords. We all struggle with passwords. If you can create unique and very complicated passwords or passwords that are hard for someone to guess. And let me give you a little bit of a hint here. Some people use phrases, things like, I like Hershey's Kisses or something like that. Something that is a phrase that you'll remember, but nobody could really remember it. And it's a little bit long, kind of hard to, somebody guess or something like that. Use something like that. Use multi-factor identification when you're trying to get into your different accounts, your bank accounts, things like that. And what multi-factor identification is, it's when you have a password and then the institution or the website has to text you or email you another number. Typically, it's a 6-digit number that you have to get in order to access your account number. That's a very good safeguard against people trying to hack into sensitive accounts. And then I'll throw in one more in there. File your taxes early. What we find this time of year is that people who want to scam you get your Social Security number. They file taxes on your behalf. They get your tax return. And then when you go to file it, you find out there's a problem with the IRS. So these are just a couple of things, a couple of New Year's resolutions you can do to keep yourself safe.
All right, Tim, thank you so much. You can find all of these tips and many more at the Better Business Bureau's website. Just go to bbb.org. Well, they say it could help save their businesses. Next, how they're willing to roll the virtual dice on a plan they say would give them a badly needed payout. And let's take a live look outside here in downtown Indy on this last day of 2020. Todd will have a check of our forecast as we ring in the new year and look ahead to January. That's all coming up right here on the News at Noon. Stay with us.
Working for you.
Welcome back. Owners and operators of bars here in Indiana are hoping to create a stimulus of their own by asking lawmakers this legislative session to allow video gambling terminals inside their establishments. WRTV's own Cornelius Hawker shows you how much money this move could generate and why some small business owners believe that it can help them survive the impact of the pandemic.
The names of more than 900 businesses and owners filled this petition to the General Assembly, all of them asking to allow video game terminals in restaurants and bars.
This is a way to really help out local businesses, and I hope that that's where their heart is this year.
Brad Kloppenstein, president of the Indiana Licensed Beverage Association, says businesses are hurting, and video gaming could turn some of that around, allowing local businesses to cash in on the gambling that's already taking place in our state.
We've had gaming in Indiana with the lottery and horse racing since the late 80s, but now you can pull your phone out and sports bet from anywhere in the entire state of Indiana.
Definitely that would help out tremendously.
Matthew Pavorsnik knows video gambling would bring in money because he owns Flat Rock Tap in Hammond, Indiana, just a few miles away from Illinois, where video gaming is legal.
I talk to the other owners across the state line and see the revenue that they are producing.
That's why he signed on to this petition, hoping to help save many small businesses by creating another stream of revenue.
I think a lot of places are going to be closing if we don't have this come through.
This really is going to help the small kind of mom and pop bars, the ones that have really been hit hard by the pandemic. Our estimates are, give or take, about $100,000 per establishment per year.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
Cornelius, thank you. Now, the revenue made from video gambling would be split between the bar owner, the company that owns those machines, and local municipalities. Lawmakers will consider the bill when the legislature goes back to work next week. All right, speaking of going back to work next week, Todd, we are looking ahead to next year's forecast, and we have another little bump in the road before we get there.
Yeah, you know, tomorrow morning, it's New Year's Day. If you could just kind of hunker down, spend time with the family, not venture out until the temperature's warm, it would probably be advisable because some freezing rain is going to be heading our way. If you have New Year's Eve plans, though, you're just fine. Temperatures outside right now in the 20s and 30s. Skies are overcast with the clouds, a bit of a northwesterly wind. Our temperatures are not going to warm much more throughout the day today, only going up a couple more degrees here into the low to mid 30s for your afternoon highs. This evening, if you do have plans, sunset is right around 5:30. We'll fast forward, though, into your evening and look at these temperatures already below freezing, so you'll need to bundle up, but no precipitation in this forecast before midnight. So if you do stay out till midnight, you'll have the opportunity to get home before we start to bring in potentially slick conditions across the area. The storm system is still way down in Texas, but it has a lot of moisture with it, and it's going to start to lift to the north, and it's going to bring freezing rain into the area for most of us, and it's also going to bring the potential for flooding in as well. The icing generally is going to be light, but I do think it's going to be enough to create slick conditions on the sidewalks and on the roads where the temperatures are not above freezing. Most of us are probably higher or closer to that inch total as far as the rain goes, combined with what we saw yesterday. The ground is saturated. That water has nowhere to go. And so the flooding concern comes in as well. Let me walk you through the timeline. Here comes this wintry mix. It comes in anywhere between about 3 and 5 o'clock in the morning from south to north. I think places like Bloomington and Seymour, you go over to plain old rain pretty quickly. Indianapolis gets back over to rain by about 9-10 o'clock. For those of you in northern locations, though, you'll hang on to the freezing rain a little bit longer. And notice how heavy this is, whether it's freezing rain and or rain out there. It's going to come down very heavy throughout the morning hours, and then throughout the afternoon and evening, we taper it off to more in the way of just some scattered showers. But the day as a whole is just not going to be very pleasant whatsoever. As far as the icing potential, a couple hundredths of an inch in and around the metro area, that's enough to slicken up the roadways, not enough to bring down power lines or trees. A little more significant icing, though, here in Peru as well as Kokomo, over towards Marion and Gas City and points to the north. So if you live up there, you're traveling up there, just going to have to give it a little longer tomorrow for the temperatures to warm. There is a winter weather advisory in place across most of the area. Once we get past tomorrow, a little bit of a wintry mix on Sunday morning. Nothing major, though, Lauren. Otherwise, pretty quiet as we head into the first full week of 2021.
All right, Todd, thank you. Well, the Ball State Cardinals will have some time in the National College Football Spotlight today. Ball State is still celebrating its first MAC championship in 24 years. They'll take on the unbeaten champions of the Mountain West Conference in the San Jose State in the Arizona Bowl, and the kickoff for that game is at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Chirp, chirp. Well, we make our resolutions every single New Year's Eve, and so this year we decided to take a look at the resolutions of the past. We'll bring you a special throwback from a very special person to all of us here at WRTV. You won't want to miss this. That's just ahead here on the News at Noon. Stick around.
Working for you.
So we thought we'd end out our 2020 with a blast from the past. Normally we do Throwback Thursdays during Good Morning Indiana, but today, as we make our New Year's resolutions, we wanted to go back when we asked our viewers what they were wishing for the new year 4 decades ago. And the man for the job on New Year's Eve of 1979 naturally was our very own Derek Thomas.
T-minus 1 day in counting. 1980 is just hours away. As a newsman, I get a unique opportunity to see both the best and the worst in the world. So we thought we'd say farewell to 1979 and say hello to 1980 and listen at a few New Year's resolutions that some Indianapolis residents have come up with. It was not a good year for fuel or school or for the cruel. But we did see the Pope, and the kids gave us hope. Cantwell found that William was a tough nut to crack. Some places burned, and others were fired.
This morning, talking with.
And far from the proverbial maddening crowd, the little people explained what they will be doing in 1980 to make their lives better.
It's kind of personal. It has to do with my husband and I. I hope to share a little bit more time together than we had in the past.
My New Year's resolution would be try to keep the center safe from crime and everything, from make it a better place to shop for the people here in town.
Quitting smoking.
To make an A in chemistry.
Mine is going to be just to try to be the best person I can be and serve the Lord.
I'm just going to try to spread as much health and happiness to people as I can.
Happy New Year. Derek Thomas for the news, Channel 6.
Oh, man, a classic Derek piece there, Todd. 1979, a great year.
Yeah, and the year the old TK was born.
I know.
So, yeah.
The year the world became a better place.
That's right. All right. Quiet this evening here as we go throughout the course of New Year's Eve. Tomorrow it's sloppy at the beginning. Freezing rain potential till about midday. It ends from south to north, and then it's just heavy rain at times throughout the day, and then quiet for most of the rest of the weekend, Lauren.
Well, thank you for making WRTV your choice for news. From all of us here, we wish you a very happy new year. We'll see you in 2021.